Welcome to the first Board of Health meeting for 2026. Seems as though it's been a while since our last meeting, so I'm glad to see everyone here. The holidays kind of made our schedule a little difficult. So we're going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
John Pickner here.
There's Gilmore here.
Colleen Chaconi here.
Jack McClellan here.
Alan Greenberg here. We're all here. It's good. Good and welfare for the public. Is there anyone in the audience or at home that has something they'd like to add? Good and welfare for the public, please.
Nobody on, right, Jack?
Sir,
Everybody's online.
good and welfare for the public. Anything you'd like to?
I'm in the public. I'm here in regards to 49 Uxbridge Road. I was practically instructed by Mr. McClellan not to attend, but I'm here just in case there's some question.
Very good. All right, so we're gonna move on, folks. 49 Uxbridge Road, you're up.
I don't have much to say. I'm just here, as I said, as a designer in case there are questions.
All right.
I understand from communication with Mr. McClellan that the town reviewing engineer has basically reviewed it and recommended that the board approve it.
All right, I'll turn it to Jack then.
Yes, the applicant is requesting your local upgrade approval of a proposed septic system upgrade for the above referenced property of 49 Uxbridge Road. The current facility has several buildings on the lot and is known as 45-49 Uxbridge Road. The building for this repair is currently served by a cesspool. Title V requires that the soil absorption system is located at least 10 feet from the building slab. The soil absorption system must also be at least 10 feet from the drainage. The applicant requests an offset of 8 feet from the building slab and 2 feet from the drain. As this is an upgrade and the site limitations create constraints to upgrade to Title V new construction standards, Tom Ryder is recommending the approval as the applicant has updated the plans that provided an impervious barrier for this system. So for the board's review and approval for this local upgrade.
The only question I had when I was looking at the plan, so it's a good thing you're here. The two-story building, cinder block building that we're talking about? Is
Yes,
that the one with all the windows?
I think that's right.
Okay, because there's so many buildings close together.
Right,
On the plan here, I'm only seeing that one building.
right.
So I didn't know if I was making an assumption.
So as you're facing the property from across the street, from the marina side, the two buildings that are closest to the road, the one on the right, I'll call it, so as you're facing it from the
Motorcycle repair shop.
exactly. This is not that. That building is served by its own septic system. This is the building that is to the left.
Okay, so Colleen, you may be able to help me on this. This is the tank or cesspool that was found that there was no record of for this particular building?
I'm not positive. I didn't see the plan. Do we have the plan?
Plans on screen, but I believe this is the property that the cesspool was found when blasting was taking place.
Right, okay. I know what building it is now. Thank you.
Sure.
Tom, Joyce, any questions?
No, I'm glad that they're not having a cesspool there. It's
That's right.
not as efficient as a regular system. So it's good that they're doing that. And what is the building for? Do you know?
It's office use, right now. It's designated as office use. And that's why the flow is so low. It's a relatively small area of office.
Right. Yep, looks good to me.
So have a motion.
Did we actually have Tom's memo report?
Right here, he gave it
That's
to
it,
us.
that's what you're reading from.
I move we accept the property on 49 Uxbridge Road septic system as shown here on this plan.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I realize I didn't say my name. My name's Rob Knappich. I did the design. Thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge my appreciation of the board and Mr. McClellan's responsiveness on an administrative level. It's much appreciated.
He's an ace.
Could I speak with you outside, please? for
Oh,
just 1 minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
May
Paul.
I?
You may.
You guys,
Take a break.
See, you wanna talk about,
we can talk about the minutes.
okay, Tom? We'll go to minutes.
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
Yes, I have them here somewhere. Oh, on the first one. Let's see, 4B. My question is on page 4. Second paragraph.
For Chairman Greenberg.
Yeah, we have Tom Allen. I don't believe I met a Tom Allen.
Last name is Bellin.
Oh, that's Tom Bellin. It's supposed to be Tom Bellin.
Okay, that's the only thing that I found in those. Tom, do you have anything on the minutes for November 13th?
What do I have? Just on page 2, there's a continuation of the topic with 143, 145 Hartford Ave East. I know at the end of that top paragraph up there, it says, applied for a license before that regulation went into effect, but because of the water situation, was not able to. Is that actually accurate, that they weren't able to, or they just chose not to?
I believe,
Chose not to, I would
yeah,
say.
that's the way I remember. They
Yeah.
chose not to because if they didn't resolve the water situation,
Right,
this is the way they explained it.
that's correct.
If they didn't resolve the water situation, they couldn't move forward
Right,
because now they're saying that's what held them.
right. I mean, I could understand it, why they didn't. There was an option, but that's what I'm thinking there, the verbiage maybe.
Yeah, I'll change that.
To be that. On the paragraph after that, leading off with Vice Chairman Fichtner, the last sentence there, the board continues with the discussion and to be consistent with prior establishments and treating everyone fairly, the board would not allow this to move forward. I'm just confused by that. What is this? What was that statement supposed to mean?
When they asked for a waiver. I got this from the video and it was out asking about the waiver.
About the waiver?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I just wasn't, in the context of reading it, I didn't see a connection with
I
that.
can try and make it connected in there.
Yeah, I would
We
say
did,
maybe massage that a little.
Yep.
And actually put that they threw out the idea of a waiver.
Yep.
I have the same thing on page 4. Mr. Bellin's last name. And then,
I'm sorry.
Right.
I've been trying to get that right.
Joyce, we're working on the meeting minutes, November 13th.
Okay. Meeting.
Anything else, Tom?
I think that was it on that.
Okay, so Mr. Bellin's name, wherever it appears, I know in a few places it was correct. That's why I didn't know if we had another person.
I've been thinking of you at the time.
Hopefully in a good way. All right, so I'm fine with those corrections.
I'm fine with the corrections. I looked at them. I didn't think there was anything needed,
All
so.
right.
Before,
Okay, so we'll have a motion to accept the minutes for November 13th.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes of November 13th, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
John, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. All right, so we're moving on to December 10th of 2025, please.
Time flies.
And I had nothing on this one. Tom?
On first page, the fourth item on the agenda, the dumpster regulation review. And maybe should be like maybe a rephrasing, a representation of something in there. I know it states kind of at the bottom of that paragraph, where Vice Chairman Fickner wanted to see if the other board members would be inclined to adjust the current dumpster regulations to put as much enforcement on the property owner as it is right now for the dumpster vendor. It wasn't really so much, it was just to kind of add in. Wasn't really particularly looking to equal, let's say.
All right, so maybe call it a shared responsibility?
Yeah, there you go. I like that
Okay,
phraseology.
I can do that.
Solomon, very good, good wisdom. Um, And the only other thing I saw on the last page for item B, 24 Kinsley Lane update. And more of a question on my part, it references the recording of the deed restriction at Middlesex Registry of Deeds. Is that correct?
Well, that should be Worcester.
Okay, so
Good job.
That should be Worcester.
Where are you, Tom?
the last page up here.
Okay.
You know, the only thing
For December 10th?
this is December 10th,
Yeah, okay.
Page 4, so all
last
of it.
page.
Oh, we go. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
24 Kinsley Lane.
Yeah.
Very good. Anything else, folks? And we have a motion, please.
I'll make it. That's it.
I move we accept the minutes as read on December 10th, 2025, as written.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. Have we been seconding? Or did we go out of order? I know.
Seconding.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
just making sure. I don't want to go too fast. All right. Old business. Tobacco regulations update continued.
All right, when we were talking about this the last time, we were talking about the word shall versus may and the tobacco regulations, and the board wanted to get Colleen's input on that, so now that Colleen's here, she can weigh in on this.
Give us your thoughts.
well, I'm not opposed to, using the word may as opposed to shall, because I think that it allows the board more flexibility on a case-by-case basis. With the word shall in there, you're limited to the regulation itself. So with the word may in there, you would have flexibility based upon, the issue at hand. And we all know every issue can be very different. So I'm not opposed to the board changing the word from shall to may whatsoever.
Do you see any negative to do it?
Well, yes, not a negative, but be, advised, and I'm sure you're aware, is that, yes, every situation is unique unto itself, but there's also, past practice. So with the word may in there, and it allows you that flexibility, you have to keep that in mind.
Whereas shall is
Shall
it's
is
like,
definite, right? So that's, so that's my only input on that.
But again, just to reiterate Vice Chairman Bickner's point, the word shall is only going towards suspension of the permit if they come before the board to agree it. Right now, in our regulation says shall be suspended regardless if they come in or not. So that's the word shall is gonna be may suspend.
Yeah, wasn't it like 3 or 4 places?
It's in section S here, shall be suspended,
Yep,
shall be suspended.
okay.
Then it's on the next page as well. Let's see, shall be suspended, and shall be suspended.
Okay, so it's only attached to the suspension part.
Right, because the monetary part is state guideline, which we can't be any less restrictive on, so
Right.
the money is what the money is.
Right.
But it kind of also fell in line with, when we kind of went through the violations, what I saw in the CMR. The state actually kind of has a section in there where they defer, where they make a comment about how the locals may or may not have
Mhm.
something. So that's what kind of raised my thought, well, maybe we should be may versus shall, because even the state was kind of deferring back. And my view was I didn't want to be any more restrictive. We could be.
Mhm.
I didn't want to be any more restrictive. And granted, when we did this years ago, it wasn't, that's what we thought. But having gone through all these violations, having actually done some, I rethought my position and think that maybe a may is a better way to go. That's all.
I agree. I agree that that is true because may, shall is like bang. But may is, well, may, we can maybe do what that is suspended or 30 days or whatever. You can do both.
Mhm.
But if you just say shall, you're done.
Yeah, there's almost no sense in appealing.
Right,
Correct.
that's right. Yeah, I
We
agree.
kind of take that appeal away.
Yeah,
Right, and I know Colleen wasn't here for the meeting, but further down that page, Jack would scroll up. We talk about the opportunity for people to come to appeal. It's almost like we're taking it away by saying shall. It's like, well, you can come and you can talk to us, but
yeah,
the regulation says we're gonna,
yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. Yeah,
so that's why one of the reasons to kind of balance it out, make it kind of match.
So motion to amend.
Correct.
I'll make the motion to amend the men and tobacco regulations as discussed.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
So am I.
Joyce, side.
Al and I.
All right, thank you.
And we'll make that effective immediately.
I would. Yeah. If I could be,
Yeah, we started doing the little footnotes when we changed things, right?
yes, I'm gonna start making notes on the back of the very last page.
Okay,
And then, once you do that, you should think about sending them out to all the tobacco vendors because it's an amendment to the regulations that they're bound by.
Good idea. Yeah.
do we have the ability to do that electronically?
Mhm.
Okay, so maybe highlight the changes
Mhm.
so that it draws their attention to that
Right.
particular section.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, Mendon Old Landfill update.
The new wells have been installed. They were doing the new testing of the 3 new wells at the end of December. As you know, the expiration date of the modification request for the DEP was December 31st. So Atlas has requested an extension. That extension has been approved until April of 2026 because we have to have new testing results for the new report that's going to be submitted to the DEP at the end of July. Or not in July, end of January this month. So we'll get our first report of the new well results. We'll see what happens from there.
Okay, the wells that these new wells replaced, they're abandoned,
They are keeping them for this first round of testing.
okay? And then,
Then once everything's good to go with the 3 new wells, they will abandon the 3 old wells that are not in compliance.
okay, do they get destructed or do they just stay there?
I'm assuming they just stay there,
Okay,
but that would be an Atlas question. I would reach out to them.
they're locked and they're not wanted.
They're locked right now, yes.
Any questions?
No, making progress.
Getting there.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about the possibility of the destruction part. It hadn't come up
Yeah,
before, I just didn't know if that would be, do you think that would become a requirement? To destruct it, or could you leave it?
I would not be surprised if we had to follow the process, the formal process.
Okay.
To have it completely destroyed.
Hmm.
Because I mean, it's, what's happened, it's just, at this point, it's a pipe, a big pipe, that sort of thing. So, I mean, the stopping of it would be just to knock all that down and make that.
But that's that would be a DEP
Right,
mandate.
Yeah,
I'm sure Atlas will check with Mr. McQuaid
right.
and come back.
I'm just thinking about, if there was an additional cost there that I personally hadn't thought about, that they could tag us with if it was a requirement that we didn't account for and what we asked for monetarily.
yeah, it's possible. I would say that the fortunate thing is the relationship that we have on this particular subject, going back and forth with all parties concerned.
All right, very good.
That, I don't think it would be a demand that you had to do it today.
No, it would probably be, if they do say that we have to, I mean, we'd probably be looking at an article on the annual.
Right, yeah.
Depending upon the cost, we may be able
Yeah,
to
the cost
cover it in
may
our
be-
operating budget too,
Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, we can talk with Jeremy, I mean, if we can cover it in our operating budget and then, rely upon some year-end transfers, it would be covered. And we
Yeah,
would
it might not have come up where those wells were included in this round of testing.
Correct.
So it might not have even been a topic of discussion or on anybody's radar at this point.
I'll talk to Atlas and see what we
Yeah.
get and
Yeah, and
We'll
it
go
may,
from there.
yeah, and it may not even be, I mean, the DEP may be fine with them, being locked and that's the end of it.
Yeah,
I would think, I mean,
yeah, if they
I
weren't,
tend to be involved.
if they weren't locked, that would be a different story.
Mm.
Or
And it's not like the wells were contaminated by any means either. They just didn't meet the requirement that we have to meet because we're asking for a reduction in monitoring.
yeah, because the testing wasn't coming back off the wall. They just were in the wrong location. Yeah, so it might not be an immediate
Right.
thing that has to be dealt with.
I highly doubt that it's immediate.
So maybe don't ask right now.
It ain't broke, don't
Let
fix it.
it, let it ride.
Okay.
It's on our radar. All right. Board of Health admin updates, please.
All right, so for the 2025 bond book inspections, they are complete. There were a total of 62 addresses that Danielle was supposed to go visit. She completed 40. The reason being is that the bond book, which I didn't know, only has 40 pages to do inspections, so we need a second bond book.
Okay.
So,
Paper?
so I have to ask for a second bond book for next round of inspections.
Okay, but I would say we made good progress.
Made a lot more better progress than we did last time here.
And we're
And
aware.
there are 62
62 addresses.
addresses, huh?
That we know of.
Yeah,
That's my update for that.
Very good. Moving on, rabies clinic update.
I reached out to our animal control officer, Kevin Sullivan. He said that the clinic stopped mainly because of COVID. Then Dr. Delbeck, who did the clinic, sold Mendon Animal Clinic. The clinic was sold to a corporation and he reached out to the medical director then. And the vet was not interested in doing a rabies clinic. So he said if they're willing to find a vet, he'd be happy to work with them to do a rabies clinic.
that's surprising that they're not willing to do it. I mean, you'd think that would be something that a vet,
But if it's a corporate,
Marion.
whoever makes the decision, not the,
It's not like a local vet, like Dr. Hello has Shell and Blackstone,
Right,
Yeah, I was just there today.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle?
She's.
No.
Oh,
Now, so family.
that's why the rabies clinic stopped.
Okay. Do we feel that there is a desire from the public to bring their animals.
Except for last meeting.
Yeah, it just had come up from the last meeting and, you know, it was a pretty, not a pretty useful clinic to have.
Mhm.
Did it for a number of years here. I don't know if they did one in Black.
Yeah, very popular.
And they still. How is it paid for?
They pay whoever
Yeah.
brings their animal in,
Okay,
and the vet volunteers their time, Kevin volunteers his time.
okay. And it would be done in town, not in the office.
Yeah, usually they did it at the animal shelter or at, the highway barn in the past.
Years past, it's
Yeah.
highway, but
Yeah. I will reach out to Milford Animal if you want.
Sure.
I know I've been there working on the weekend and the girls after their half day were going to a clinic.
Yeah.
Most likely in Milford.
Yeah.
But I can ask. I'm a client.
Doesn't have to ask.
And the fee that's charged covers the cost of. So it's not, there's really minimal out of. Small amount of admin time if it moves forward as far as advertising goes, but like I said, the vet usually volunteers their time and
Mhm.
I know Kevin does too.
Okay. I'll reach out and report back. Obviously it'll be something we'd want to do in the spring time frame, right?
Mhm.
We don't
I
wanna
think
do it
that's
this time of
typically
year.
when we do it. No,
Well, I think, yeah, it would be, kind of would be now, only because I think dog licenses are due.
Yeah, they are.
Yep, so usually you'd have that clinic like in
before the
October.
license,
Okay, so in the
Yeah.
fall.
Yep,
All right, so
which are actually March. I think we give owners until March something to actually license with the thing.
so then there might be
Okay.
time to, it would be close.
I mean, we
Okay.
put out the notice now. It goes with the census, that form.
right.
It goes out along with our doing the discount,
Mhm.
right? And I want to say, I thought it was like the first week in March.
Where Kevin volunteers his time. Why don't you ask him,
Okay,
if you would, what time of year, give me like a 2-month period
Yeah.
that would work. And then when I get that information, I'll inquire from Milford Animal Hospital and see if it's something
I'll
that
talk
they
to
think
Kev.
they might be interested in helping us out with.
yeah, I'd be happy to volunteer my time too.
Okay. All right, very good. So I'll
I'll
wait.
check with Kev.
Yeah, I'll wait to hear and then I will, I'll move forward on seeing if they may be interested. Because they're not a big corporate entity. They're still a mom and pop.
Mm.
All right.
And I know with regard to what's the discussion of rabies, we did have an animal that went to, I was just curious, did that come up? Do we know the results?
I haven't received the results yet.
Oh, okay.
Alan, you want to explain your situation, your possible?
It was a very interesting trip.
Awesome.
Yes. I picked it up around 9:15 in the morning on Maury Street. The woman had put it in a metal trash can. And when we talked on the phone the previous night, she covered it with a pretty heavy wire and bungee corded it to the handles of the metal trash can. And I told her that I was shooting for 9 o'clock on Monday morning to pick it up. I had conversation with our animal inspector, Danielle, and tried to ask all the appropriate questions where I had never been to the lab.
Mhm.
The first time I got asked to go to the lab, I called off before I had to go,
Mhm.
which I wasn't sad about. So I asked as many questions as I could think of, where do you go? Where do you drop the animal off? Does the animal have to be in a certain kind of container? Does the animal have to be euthanized? And Danielle gave me the information that she had, the way she understood it. So obviously the possum was alive. put the possum in the back of the truck, put it down, drove out to Jamaica Plain. Found my way around the building so I could get in. And when I went to the lab and identified myself as town of Mendon Board of Health, and I had a possum that needed to be tested for rabies. Is the possum alive? We don't take live animals.
Oh, jeepers.
So Danielle had gotten some bad information, and unfortunately, that bad information just kept getting passed on. So, all right, possum coming back to Mendon. On the way back to Mendon, Danielle was trying to call the state and get some more clarification. And they were giving her the names of different animal hospitals in the vicinity of Mendon, Milford, that would euthanize the animal and then send the specimen to the lab in proper condition. So it was a long trip home because she was telling me there was a place in Medway, so I'd stop and park in Medway. So eventually we were getting nowhere. People weren't even picking up the phone. She kept getting put on hold. Last, it sounded like Mendon Animal Hospital would do it. So I said, great. Reached out to Kevin to see if Kevin would hold the animal overnight because the animal hospital couldn't take the possum till 10 o'clock the next day. We had to set up an appointment. And he said that he would take over. So the animal was euthanized. The specimen was delivered to the lab. He was going to do it himself. But I talked to Jack because as far as I know, the woman that has the concerns about her donkey and the possum, I don't think she's gotten any feedback.
I didn't see anything from the lab.
So we still haven't completed the task. So what do we do? Do we reach
When
out?
was it dropped off? What,
Last-
okay, and then Kev drove it in himself.
Yeah, I believe on Tuesday.
Last Tuesday.
Oh, so yeah, you probably tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't hear, I know Jack, you come in on Fridays, so if you don't hear by Friday, like at 10 in the morning.
Yeah, we can call.
Reach out to Kevin.
Yeah.
Only because I want to complete the task.
Yeah. Usually, I mean, it might be Monday. It's like 10
Monday,
days.
today.
total.
Okay, I didn't realize
Yeah.
it was that much time.
Plus, the holidays and stuff, people are just getting back into their schedules and whatnot.
All right, so through all of this, Danielle volunteered to do a standard operating procedure. So that if she is unavailable and we have to backfill her, we will have the
A list.
policy and the order of operations so that we're not blind. If that would be helpful. And I believe standard operating procedures are always helpful.
Absolutely. And I mean, and just anytime, the lab has never euthanized the animal, ever.
Well, Kevin,
So they have to be euthanized first.
being more familiar with the
Yeah.
lab and the website, said that other than a bat, you don't bring a specimen in alive. And I believe he said it says right on the website.
Mhm.
I was acting as the courier, hoping I
Both
asked all
ways.
the right questions.
Live and learn. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I hope the possum enjoyed the ride.
So now, on the other side of that, you mentioned the animal in question was a donkey?
Yeah, what happened was the fence is open on the bottom, so a
Okay.
small animal can easily get into the fenced in area.
Yeah.
There's a donkey and a horse,
Yeah,
and it sounds like the donkey was defending itself,
okay,
and the possum ended up with a bloody ear, but there was also blood on the hoof of the donkey, so that was
Okay.
the transmit concern.
got it, okay.
Um,
So now what's the protocol in a suspected rabies contamination for the animal in question?
I believe it was asked if the donkey was up on its other shots,
Okay,
and I believe the answer was yes.
okay,
So there's still concern because
Oh,
the
sure.
specimen needs to be sampled,
right,
but there's not that worry that I have an animal that hasn't been vaccinated
okay.
rabies.
Okay.
So just like a dog, horses,
Isolation.
Yeah, usually it's a 10-day quarantine when I did animal control.
So you still, even though they said the animal had current rabies, you still have to quarantine the animal.
Correct.
Right.
Well, yes.
Okay,
okay,
Because,
I don't
just
know,
because it's been vaccinated, I mean,
I don't know if that was conveyed.
it comes back negative, then, everything's back to normal.
right. I was thinking since no one really knows, till we get the answer back, what is the state, what state does that animal have to be in? It sounds like it's supposed to be quarantined.
Yeah,
To the property, not like.
No, to the property, yeah,
Right, and the donkey usually is. I mean,
Right.
he's in a penned-in area.
got it, okay.
yeah, so unless they were attending a 4-H show with the donkey,
Right.
the donkey is fine right where it is.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Some of that stuff, maybe for someone who's not fully aware of the procedures, should be in that same SOP. Because, I mean, we don't know for sure who we'd have to ask to fill in if the animal inspector was unavailable to do it. I know, Tom, you've been,
I've been to the lab once, yep.
but it could be someone even outside of the board if you're really strapped and had to get taken care of right away. So it should, a lot of these things, even for a reminder for us as to, all right, I gotta do this, I gotta call that one back, just so that we finish the loop.
Sound good?
I think that would be, I mean, it would be helpful to me. All right, so that's my possum story.
Nice story.
Yeah, hey, you know. It would have felt so good if when I brought the possum to the lab, I really felt as though I accomplished something.
Well, he did, he brought it to the lab.
All right, so we'll move on to senior trash discount application update, please.
All right, the senior discount application has been mailed out, and they are coming in fast and furious. One of the residents did have a question about his senior discount. He's a resident in Mendon. He has an in-law apartment at this residence. He is paying for 2 trash accounts. His account for the in-law apartment at the senior rate, which he qualifies for, and the other household pays the standard rate. So he's asking that since 6 people live in the house, he's the only one that lives in the in-law, does his senior discount go away? It's not divided by an address, it's one address.
Okay.
So it's not like A house, B in-law.
Does anybody else want to speak first?
Well, I just said, I became aware of this situation the other day, and the thought I just had on it was, it sounded like all was still well and good, and as I thought about it a little further, we use the word household in our description. Now, I believe, even though it's one address on one property, there are 2 separate buildings. And so,
Two
in my,
separate housing things.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So in my eyes,
Both. That's what I
I'm
mean.
looking at it as 2 separate households.
Right,
So, and given the fact that they do pay for 2 separate accounts, one regular for the family in one household and the senior discount for the other household that qualifies for it. I'm thinking it shouldn't necessarily be a problem, but then my mind went to, what if you got to the extent of the total, what if the total allowance of trash was presented at the curb? Because both households put their trash out, I'm assuming, together,
Yes, same day.
same day, right? So we never did anything to adjust the allowance on the senior discount. All we did was adjust the money. We never adjusted what they could put out. And so what the senior could put out, they could put out 1 trash receptacle, 1 recycle receptacle, and they could actually put out additional bags
if they're gonna pay for them,
but they would pay for them.
right?
So in thinking it through, both households, if for some crazy situation happened, one pickup could consist of 8 stickered bags. Actually, I think it's two trash receptacles we allow and 1 recycle. So theoretically, it could be 4 trash totes, 2 recycles, and 8 stickered bags. A partridge in a pear tree. And I just, in thinking about that, what the likelihood and the possibility is probably not there, but it just made me wonder, with our application of the senior discount, should there have been any consideration to limit the trash side of that program? Because we never did that. But
And I don't think we ever have it taxed.
we never did, because the belief is that they put out with us trash, and in some cases don't even put trash out every week. Right? So,
But, so we don't put out trash every week.
Right.
But, what my thought is, if they have an apartment, they're a senior housing apartment. It's not a senior housing, they're the seniors there. And the other apartment is the regular people.
Mhm.
So the seniors put out their trash and they shouldn't have a ton of trash. The person that lives in the house, if they need to have more, they have to pay more. If they need more, if they have more trash,
yes, they would just have a sticker for every bag that wouldn't fall
Right.
under
they would have
the
to do that.
allowance. That's
Right, right.
I thought, I actually was thrilled. It sounded to me like this household has been doing it the right way all the time.
correct, with the 2 accounts.
So I applaud this household for doing the right thing right along, and our change has no effect on them.
Yeah.
Because they're doing the right thing.
Right,
But the census is coming back with 6 people,
Yeah, but it's 2 separate households.
but it's
They're
not
paying-
what it's not what our application says.
But they're paying 2 bills.
That's the whole question. I know they understand change.
Yeah, so they're doing it right. Even though it's only 1 numerical address,
Yes.
these people are doing it right.
Yeah, but it's 2 separate households. You can't fault them for the assessor's office not assigning a separate, like, 122A
Yeah.
North Ave and B,
Down
you know?
here on George Street, there's a 9A and a 9B.
Mhm.
9B was originally constructed as an in-law apartment. A newly married child and husband moved in until they could save up money, buy a place. Now they rent it out. And now I think it's reverted back to all family. But 2 addresses and they got 2 bills. Unfortunately, this address never got split, but these people are doing it the right way.
But as the application says, and Tom, it's a household. I'm getting a census of 6 people. All right, so if the board on board is giving it.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, he's calling it 2 households by paying 2 bills.
When you say it comes back on the census, you are talking about the census form
Correct.
from the town. But when he files or when he submits his senior discount application every year, does it only say 2?
It says 6.
On the senior discount application?
Because
Because his address is his address, because his household is considered 1.
So, but because in this case, though, he's got 2 separate accounts,
Correct.
which kind of,
So can anybody have 2 separate accounts and 1 address?
well, it throws you
He
off.
has- He does have 2 separate living pieces, things as well. He doesn't have,
Right, it's 2 separate households.
yeah, that's an office. Never.
he has an apartment.
All right, I don't want to go into the weeds on this. I'm just looking at if the board's gonna approve this.
Yeah,
This particular situation,
This guy's doing it right.
Perfect. That's all I needed.
but it just raises the question of this could come up in the future and it could be confusing for Jack.
Mhm.
So you might have to, it might be an occasion where you end up reading between the lines. And
Well, I won't make that decision. I'll bring it to the boards because the boards will make that decision.
Right, and to be honest with you, I was under the assumption that when you put an in-law apartment on your house, if I live at 175, that the in-law apartment has the same address, 175, not 175A or B. So on the census, it would all be considered one address.
One property, yeah.
One property.
one property. But I don't know why they wouldn't say that one is 75A. And one-
Maybe they
Have to
maybe
take
they
that
just
up with
don't.
the assessor.
I
You know,
think that would be the solution
But
to
you
that.
can look up on the property,
Right.
on the field card and see that there's an accessory use apartment.
Right.
So it's been identified.
And we may, in the future, with ADUs, have to address that, because an ADU would be a separate building, but it may have the same address. So I don't know if you'd have to almost go back, like I said, to the assessor's office to start that process of As and Bs and Cs or whatever.
What's an ADU? What is that?
Additional dwelling unit, that's that new state.
Accessory.
And has that been actually determined that an ADU must be separate building?
Doesn't have to be separate.
Right, see, I just wanted, you mentioned the separate,
Well,
It could
But
be
I
right
didn't
above-
think
it
that-
could be right above the garage,
yeah,
connected to the house.
right,
but at town meeting, couple special town meetings ago, there were some people that got up that wanted to make it have to be attached.
Mhm.
But according to the state, the way I understand it, it doesn't have to be attached.
No.
It can be in your backyard.
yeah, meaning it can be separate,
Yes.
but it also could be attached.
Yeah. Can be freestanding.
But again, when we get to that point, those may be those oddballs that we have to address accordingly.
Right,
But that, I don't think, they're still going back and forth on what that's supposed to look like, as far as ADUs are concerned. But again, I applaud this family for doing it the right way. And if something like this comes up, we'll have to take it case by
Case by
case.
case.
yes.
Until we come across some kind of a standard. But this guy's good. Thank you, Mr. Brogan. All right. Health agent updates, please. 106 Millville Street.
Happy to report that the property is vacant. They are gone,
Is it still under condemnation?
correct, and it will remain so until the proper repairs are done and permits are pulled, obviously, and it is inspected and a re-occupancy is approved by the board.
You had any conversations with the owner yourself, out of curiosity?
The attorney.
Just the attorney?
Yep,
Okay.
the attorney for the owner. Yeah, and they're aware of issues that are there. There was no water there for a little while. Part of the ceiling in the parlor has some significant damage to it. There's some electrical issues going on. There were certain areas in that apartment that did not have electricity. So those will all need to be addressed. From what I was told, the heat has in fact been restored. But I guess in the laundry area, before the heat was restored, a pipe broke and wreaked havoc. So that will all require cleanup, and the property itself is cleaned up. There's some areas, not necessarily, these tenants that just left, but from the previous tenant. There's some areas on the property that really need to be addressed.
What's the status with regard to the MSPCA's involvement?
Haven't heard a thing. Have not heard it. They have not filed anything either, to my knowledge. Last I spoke with Kevin, they had not filed anything. So I'm not sure where they are with that. If they're- I know that 4 of the dogs are still at the animal shelter.
Oh, geez.
Yep. 4 of the dogs are still at the animal shelter, and the MSPCA took the other dogs and the other animals.
Yeah.
3 of the horses that were there were transported successfully to Nova Scotia. And the others were taken by the MSPCA.
Is there some like a, I don't know what the right word is, a facility, a location where they deal with, where they take the animals that they end up,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they have areas where people foster them.
sanctuaries? That's the
Yep.
word I'm looking for.
Yeah, people foster them.
Right.
You know, more people foster them, I believe, and take care of them until the outcome of the case.
Right. Right.
So
So
did they contact you when they got there?
the MSPCA,
Oh, the people,
Mhm.
the two ladies,
yep,
when they got to Nova Scotia, they said, we're.
yeah, I've actually, been speaking with them right along.
Mm.
Anything I've said before, anything that Jack and I ever asked them to do, they were very cooperative about. They cooperated fully. We did not experience the same issues that the MSPCA, the animal control officer had. That was never the case for us. Anytime that we went there, the animals, to me, there was food there was water there. The animals, I mean, the goats had pajamas on, so I didn't have that same experience. And both the mother and the daughter were very cooperative with us. Granted, it took a little bit longer, even for them, it took longer than what they absolutely wanted to be, and they just worked through it, removed all of their stuff from there, and they were in constant contact with the attorney for the property owner as well. So we didn't have that same experience with them, but now they've since vacated and they've moved on. So that property is not, I go by the property pretty regularly. Until that, we don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we just don't need to inherit another situation. So that's the good news on that.
and what happened with all the financial things that they were responsible for? Did they end up paying all that or not?
Well, the dogs are still being boarded and none of those fines have been paid. And so I don't believe, well, it's my understanding anyway, that the MSPCA has told the animal control officer not to release those dogs, even if they paid those fines to the property owners until the outcome of the pending litigation that they have yet to file.
Wow.
From what I understand, they already went to court once. I believe they go back to court next week. And then, whatever the outcome of that's gonna be.
And they'll come back here to do that?
Yeah,
That's strange.
yeah. So, so that's that.
5 Harrington Street, please.
Yeah, 5 Harrington Street. So I reached out to the business owner and to DEP. Michelle Delmar was gonna come down to me, see, unfortunately she come down with the flu. So we're gonna have to reschedule it, but she did send me an email. I explained to her, what's been going on all along and whatnot. She sent this email, I have a copy for the board too, to me on Tuesday, when she realized that she was ill. There's 2 sets here, Jack, so there's the one from Alec, the business owner, and then the one from
Okay.
Michelle Delmar.
Thanks. Thank you.
So I let Michelle know what was going on, the progress that we had made. I've been in constant contact with her throughout the whole thing. So she sent me this email on Monday, the 12th, basically saying that she was home with the flu, and then the CMR regulation regarding noise, which we're all aware of. She also went on to say that, we can still arrange readings at a later date. However, it would be unlikely to show a violation In cases like these, the diplomacy and mediation skills of local officials is what makes a difference in lowering noise levels for sensitive receptors, as has been done here. But I sent her back an email and told her that, requested, I shouldn't say told, that we'd still like to go out and with her professional equipment and do a reading. And so that's what the plan is, once she's well enough to do that. In the meantime, I've been in contact with Alec as well. And he advised me in this email from January 2nd. I asked him in a previous email, he said that they were adopting additional internal simulations within their school to completely eliminate any possibility of noise, even minimal. I asked him to elaborate on that.
Where is that? Where, I'm not seeing that.
The January 5th.
Oh, okay, right here, January
Yeah.
5th, though. I was looking for something further up. Okay.
So he acknowledged, that the neighbors have concerns. He said, following this communication, we conducted an immediate review of our operational procedures. The gear shift alert sound identified as a possible isolated source has been fully eliminated. Use of the horn is now strictly limited to extreme safety situations applied in a minimal and exceptional manner and is not part of routine training. And he also added that additionally, certain maneuvers are now simulated internally to eliminate any potential for external noise, even at minimal levels. These measures reflect our proactive and preventive commitment to addressing the concerns raised while reaffirming that there is no ongoing or reoccurring noise generated by the school.
Wow, well, that
Very
seems
good.
pretty darn good then.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, we're still gonna go out and do a reading so that we have a benchmark.
Yeah.
For, if there is, the use of the horn or, these maneuvers, but it seems to me, and I did follow up with Alec and I haven't heard back from him yet when he said about the simulated internally. I'm wondering if that's like a simulator machine inside the school now that they're practicing. I don't want to assume that. I just want confirmation regarding that. So again, Alec has been very, very receptive to working towards being a better neighbor to the neighborhood. And I think personally has gone through great months to, to achieve that goal myself.
Have there been any conversations with neighbors since this information has come to us, just out of curiosity?
No,
I'd just be curious if they've noticed since this, if they've noticed any.
I plan on visiting the neighborhood.
It's a tough time of year, being in the winter, they're mostly
Right, yeah,
inside.
they're in the
anyway.
house, yeah.
But that's good to know.
Yeah, I plan on going up there and sitting out there, but also too, like I said, Michelle Delmar, they have two other individuals that work with her that also, their equipment is very sophisticated. So these two individuals will also come down as well. And they'll take the readings and it will be in cooperation with the school because we have to have a quiet reading
Yep, ambient noise.
and then progress from there.
Right.
As the school operates and take those readings will probably be in those two backyards.
Right.
I explained to Michelle the area a little bit. I took some pictures and I had sent them to her, so that she had an idea of, what we were looking at. So that's something that, is definitely in the works, just so that we have that information, that we
Right.
have that benchmark.
And it would be good, and I know you went at the last meeting, just the thought wasn't having readings, because it can be very difficult to define noise nuisance, right? And having readings in some sort of, spreadsheet or metric of data we could then make that determination and be able to present that to the residents and say, well, this is what we've done. This would be great information for them to be aware of what they're doing.
Right.
But in addition, if we do go out, or we do go out to do testing, we can say, well, from a test perspective, the data either does or it doesn't show that the shell of a nuisance.
Well, then that's what I'm saying about the sophistication of their equipment. I mean, it's, all on one top and, it's a graph, the whole 10 yards. So that I think is probably just as important as everything that the school's doing.
Well, I'm highly complimentary of Alex and the school.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Continuing to take steps
Absolutely.
that they're
Right.
taking.
Yeah.
Yep. Like it's right from the very beginning, they were very receptive and the property owner as well. So we've been working together to, to improve, the noise level there and for them to be better neighbors. And they truly, that is their goal.
Right.
To be.
Well, of course, I mean, you don't want somebody whack all the time. And,
Yep.
You want to be doing a good job with your people that you're teaching and, all of those things. So that's good. That's really good.
I
Yeah.
think they've shown it. I mean, just removing the backup alarms and, and these things here, shows their commitment,
Right, I think that's
for the
great.
neighborhood too. And to being a better neighbor.
Right.
So that's what I have on that so far.
Thank you.
Food and housing?
I have, Kinsley Lane, the deed restriction has been recorded. So it's on the registry of deeds. Checked it yesterday. Yep. I'm sure that Attorney Brent Nizer will be sending the board one too, but I mean, we can print it out ourselves, but it's been recorded. Still working with 67 Hatfield Ave and the quality of the potability of the water. They have done,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, we've done 2 shock treatments and 2 tests and no E. coli. That's the good news. But the coliform is still present. Been working with this new lab right locally in Milford. Chris Padala, great guy, wants to, help out. I explained the situation, he actually, gave us a huge discount on the farm. And then been working with him, on different things to do to see if we can't get this water to be potable. So we have one more thing that we're gonna do, next week and see if we can get it to, potability standard. And I'll just keep you guys informed. I mean, it's been frustrating, to say the least.
If curiosity, if it doesn't go well,
They wouldn't be able to drink the water.
what would have to transpire after that?
Well, they bottled water. A lot of people drink that. I don't
Just
drink
go ahead,
water, my well water. They still have water. They can bathe with it. It's not,
Wash dishes.
yeah. Laundry and things to flush the toilet, that's, but would like to have it, have potability for them.
Right.
So we're gonna try this one more thing. I mean, we went out, did our thing and whatnot and kept our fingers crossed, and our eyeballs too, but hopefully next time around, we'll see what happens. We're gonna let it sit a little bit longer, actually, shut the pump off itself and let it sit for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
See if it will chlorinate it enough to, to make it potable. And then after we do that, then we have to wait 10 days before we can test it.
And
So,
where is that?
67 Hatfield Ave
Okay.
West, right?
Yes, Bud's Auto, remember Bud's Auto?
Yes,
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
What's the state of the property itself? With regard to the other aspects of,
Well, I mean, the garage is still in ill repair.
Looking pretty bad.
Yeah,
Is there an action plan for that? That we have to, not that we as the Board of Health, but that
we notified the proper departments, sent pictures.
Okay, so we have our area and they have
Yep.
their area.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know too, that things we accumulated in addition to the garage, that one of the issues we faced a few years ago was the accumulation of items way down the back toward the conservation land.
That's not, it's not down that far. There's over on the left-hand side, there's some stuff there. She's aware that she has to get rid of. She has had a rough few months health-wise.
Right.
too. Really, she's had a rough few months health-wise. So just been checking in on her and working with her, and she appreciates it, but is aware that on that left-hand side. And come to find out, the individual that was helping her was helping himself to her property.
Huh?
I was surprised when I saw that car there, that old car that was sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
That was like was hidden in the woods.
Yeah, well, because the grandson had to cut back all that vegetation all around the well area.
Right,
That was a recommendation. So the grandson went out there and he cleared that whole entire area.
right.
And then, of course, John donated the, cover for it. And, the rest of the work that was done, so.
Clearing that all back actually made it a little bit exposed.
Well, that and the time of year we're in,
Yeah.
you know.
So hopefully, we'll be able, we'll continue to work with this, what they say, third time's a charm.
There were a ton of beavers on.
Oh, yeah? Really?
Yeah,
I haven't gone down there since it got really cold, because of the ice and stuff and everything. I haven't gone down the hill, but any of the, debris is not sitting
Gone,
on the
yeah,
wetlands.
right.
And then the other thing, Jack and I reached out to our public health nurse through the partnership. Because of the high flu cases, to see if maybe we should have another flu push. So we'll be talking with Ann too about that.
Yeah,
But we've been reading, the advisories from, Department of Public Health, high risk and the high flu activity and coldest, especially, right after Thanksgiving, boom. So we're looking into possibly the need for another flu clinic.
right.
That's what all I have right now.
That's a
Mr.
lot.
Chairman,
You did a lot.
yeah, keep busy. Before you moved on to the next agenda item, there was just something on the previous item that I don't think we touched on. It was in 5A in the tobacco area.
Okay,
I think
Oh,
Jack.
that's right, yes, you're right, I'm sorry. We were talking about the coupon, remember the litigation that
Yes.
the Kathleen DePaul was talking about? She didn't have any more information when I reached out to her to ask her for more information, so she was gonna reach out to the MHOA on that. I haven't followed up with her, this was last week, but she did say that she does know that Cumberland Farms won the case because the judge found that the word coupon was too vague. So she was happy.
It involved Cumberland Farms.
Cumberland Farms, correct. So the Cumberland Farms won the case and Kathleen DeBois,
then we would have had a reverse.
we would have had reversed.
So it's been determined the litigation's over.
She didn't say the litigation's over, she just said that, well, I guess the
Yeah, it
litigation's
is.
over. So that the court did decide with Cumberland Farms.
Okay.
The judge said that the word coupon was too big. So didn't issue anything against Cumberland Farms.
So,
So her violations are null and void.
Correct.
So given that, would we be communicating out to those who would have been potentially affected by that violation, those entities, and to let them know the,
Only to the extent that, if the coupon was their only violation,
correct?
then, it won't hold.
I
If,
just didn't know if it would be fair to let them know that what the end result of that litigation was, so they're aware of what.
well, for a paper trail, I suppose that, so that we don't get confused if there is another violation.
Yeah, we can do that. We'll let them know.
It's just not be a good communication. Would be plausible.
Yeah,
So should the board vote to suspend the violation? Because I think the board voted to hold off.
right, and they never voted, so there's no violation because of, well,
Well, you voted to hold off, so I didn't know if you
We
needed
voted
to
to
vote.
hold off pending the outcome of the litigation,
So maybe we should vote,
so.
Doesn't hurt, just vote.
yeah, to,
yeah,
Sure.
due to the outcome of the litigation regarding the coupons.
Then the board is not welcome to
we would reverse
Rescinded.
rescinded
Yep,
rescind the violation.
the coupon violation.
Coupon.
Correct.
coupon violation.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion to rescind the violations cited for coupon infraction. And to the entities that were affected or presented that. Based on the outcome of litigation cited this evening.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Am I?
Joyce, I.
Al and I. Thank you. All right, so yeah, put that in some sort of a communication and thank them
Yes.
for their time and patience.
Yeah, because I think it was, the one, Kenny, that one had a coupon.
Yeah, I'll go back to the violations. I'll grab everybody.
Yep,
Right.
Now with regard to the other entity that had another violation beyond the coupon. With regard to the humidor. I know there was mentioned that they were going to appeal.
He decided not to appeal and he paid the fine.
Okay,
Okay, good.
Yep.
And hopefully he's closed up that whole thing and,
hasn't.
right,
he still have the humidor sitting there?
Yeah,
Okay,
but there's no cigars.
it's not in it, nothing in it.
right.
It's a bookcase.
That's.
Okay.
Well, it's probably a lot of work to get it all out of there, isn't it? One of those things that's
Yeah, as long as
set
it's empty.
into the thing.
I'm plugged in.
If he wants to put his books in there or something.
Also said, get a chair, get a lamp. You can have your own little seating area and you can read.
Okay, well, cool.
Yeah, that works for you,
Yeah,
buddy,
yeah, but there's no cigars in there.
right?
So we'll go to topics not anticipated within 48 hours. Does anybody have anything?
I do not.
Welfare for the board.
Yeah, the only thing I would just mention to the board is that Jack and I are working on dumpster regulation revisions. We started to do some things, so I think maybe at the next meeting,
Yep.
we'll present suggested revisions and draft the board to look at.
Oh, thank you. The only thing I have is, unfortunately, measles in this country is still in the news. I think the last biggest city that I heard is Philadelphia.
Mm.
And a lot has to do with the centralized transportation. Unfortunately, you get exposed to a lot of people. I know down south, maybe one of the Carolinas, there was an area of the state to the northwest
Yeah.
that had a big
Event,
reoccurrence of
yeah.
measles going on.
Texas.
Yeah, so they're still struggling with trying to get that under control.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy.
A stupid question. If you do get the measles vaccine, is it like COVID where you don't get it as bad or you just don't get it at all, period? Just not
I thought you didn't get it at all.
you don't get it at all?
That's what I thought.
Right, yes, because
That's
back,
the nurse.
right, back in the day, what you did, when you were, your kids were there, you had measles, mumps, what?
Chicken pox.
Rubella,
Yeah.
yeah, you got all of those vaccines.
TB.
And by the way, we didn't have any of them show up. Same thing with polio. The polio vaccine, I mean, everybody got the polio vaccine. I was one of the last people in Massachusetts that took care of a person who had polio in a,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah, and that was, you know, when I was working in, Northampton at Cooley Dickinson, I took care of this woman who she was the last case in Massachusetts of polio,
Wow.
you know, but we never should, and once they had the vaccines, the vaccinations and stuff like that, I mean, people worked hard to get those things done, and we had nothing since then, since my lady was the last one. I never heard of another person that had polio or the kids that were getting measles. That jackass Kennedy,
We are being recorded.
yes, sorry, that is saying that they're not, it's not safe, it's not good for kids. Are you kidding? I mean, really, it's just, who needs to go someplace far, far away?
Sure he doesn't move next to it.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have anybody close by there. Yeah, oh, yeah, well, the house next door is being sold.
So I don't have anything else on that topic. Good. Before we adjourn, we have, a report.
That's not on the agenda, so that can not be discussed.
Yeah, what?
Town report, geez.
Okay. Next meeting?
It is January 28th.
January 28th.
Where did January go?
Gosh.
Tell me about it.
My life is going before my eyes.
It's like, I get
6 PM here?
6 PM here.
All right.
whiplash.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Al and I. Thank you very